This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, thank you everyone. My name is Jay Hibansky. I'm the Planning and Zoning Administrator for the town of Stratford. This evening we'll be conducting the Stratford Zoning Board of Appeals organizational meeting on February 2nd, 2021. This meeting will be taking place via teleconference per the governor's executive orders in 2020. The call-in meeting number is 646-749-3122. The access code posted on all agendas is 399-840-461. I'm going to quickly do a roll call of our regular members present for voting. Commissioner Forrester. Commissioner Forrester, we couldn't hear you.
I am present.
I believe you're, oh, there you go. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Elder. Okay, let's see. Commissioner Elder, you're unmuted.
Present.
Lorenzo, can you please mute your computer device? Perfect. Okay, Commissioner Streets.
Present.
Commissioner Young.
Here.
Commissioner Petroselli.
Here.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 7:06. The first order of business is would be the election of the chairman for the Zoning Board of Appeals. Do we have any nominations? Okay, Commissioner, I see Commissioner Elder. Go ahead. I think we've got a freeze on your device.
Okay. Can you hear me?
With a significant echo, yes.
It is with great pleasure that I nominate Chairman Lynn Petroselli for chairmanship.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Elder. Do we have a second? Do we have a second?
But since I am not the chairman, I'll second it.
Okay, do we have any discussion? Commissioner Young?
I would like to make an alternate motion. You tell me when it's timely.
After a discussion, I'd be happy to offer this up for any other nominations. With no discussion, do we have any other nominations? Commissioner Young?
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank Chairman Petroselli for his service this past year. It's been a challenging one for all of us, and he rose to the occasion. Thank you. It was approximately 1 year ago when I made the same nomination I'm going to make this evening. I nominate Annette Street to serve as our chair. It's been a year since my last nomination, and I remind members of some of her credentials, making her worthy of your consideration, in my view. Her resume tells you that leadership is the watchword of her career. She has been director of the Hall Neighborhood House, director of the Charles Smith Foundation, director of the Children's Center. She is a small business owner and president of the Streets and Associates firm. She's a Yale graduate. She has had stellar attendance at our meetings. I truly believe and sincerely believe in 2021, it's time for a change. Anything different from 2020, I think would be prudent. Annette is female. She is Democrat, and she is African American. All of the things that our last chairman is not. I appreciate the support of Annette Streets. She has my vote, and I hope someone will second the motion. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Commissioner Young. Do we have a second? Do we have a second?
Mr. Hibansky,
Yes.
this is Annette Street speaking, and I guess I will second my nomination, which with much thanks to Mary Young for that very nice nomination.
Okay. So we have two nominations. Is there any discussion?
Move they be closed.
Do we have a second?
I'll second to close.
Jay, I was having technical difficulties. Who is the other person that is going to run?
So we have two. We have a nomination and a second for Len Petroselli, and we have a nomination and a second for Annette Streets.
Thank you.
So I'll be honest. I don't think I've ever had a nomination and a second for two. So I believe the next item would be for a roll call vote for each. Is that correct? Yep. Commissioner Forrester, I'm sure you know how this is supposed to.
Yeah, that's how
You're
it
usually
is.
good. Okay.
Did we take, did we close nominations officially? I made a motion. I don't know if anybody seconded it.
Do we have a second to close the nominations?
I think Mary
Mary
did.
Young,
Yeah,
I
Mary
make
Young.
a second to close.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All in opposition, nay. The motion carries unanimously. Nominations portion is closed. At this point, we will be taking a roll call vote. For this, the first vote is for Len Petroselli for the chairman for the Zoning Board of Appeals for 2021. I will be going down our list here. Yay is in favor of Len Petroselli. Commissioner Forrester?
Point of order. Since there's two nominees, shouldn't we just do a roll call vote and you name the nominee that you're voting?
Yeah, that would probably be easier, Jay. Just ask everybody.
Sure.
Their
Sure.
last.
Or, forgive me for interrupting, you got the town attorney here. Why not get his point of view?
Sure.
Mr. Florek, would you like to weigh in, please?
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, this is Attorney Alex Florek. I think you guys, since there's two names in nomination, I think you just could do a roll call vote and say who you support for chairman, who you vote for chairman.
It's a fine suggestion. Thank you very much. So we have our roll call vote. I'll start with Commissioner Forrester. We couldn't hear that. Commissioner Forrester, can you try one more time?
I'm not hearing anything.
I am not hearing anything.
Oh, got it.
I vote for Len Petroselli.
Thank you. Commissioner Elder? We'll try him again. Commissioner Elder?
I vote for Len Petroselli.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Streets?
I vote for Commissioner Streets.
Commissioner Young?
I vote for Annette Streets.
Okay. And Commissioner Petroselli?
It's pretty obvious, Petroselli.
Okay, we have 3 votes in favor for Commissioner Petroselli, 2 for Commissioner Streets. I'd like to congratulate, well, all in favor, say aye.
All right, I don't know if we need to do that,
Oh.
Jay, but we don't need to do that. We have 3 votes and 2 votes, so we don't need, we're done.
The motion passes. The motion passes for Commissioner Petroselli to be chairman for the 2021. Mr. Chairman, congratulations. Would you like to handle the voting for the vice chair for the year?
Yes, thank you. And thank you, everyone, all 5 of you. Thank you. We're all entitled to our opinion. All right, we'll accept nominations now for the vice chair. What's your pleasure? Annette?
I would like to nominate, as I did last year, Ms. Mary Young as vice chair. We all know her quite well. She's a professional in planning and land use with over 20 years of experience. She has contributed greatly to this board with her knowledge and her experience. And she's also very civically involved. In addition to being on this board, she's on the Stratford Planning Commission, the Stratford Transit Centered Development Steering Committee, the Stratford Housing Partnership, and the Greater Bridgeport Regional Council. And in addition to that, she has approached the petitions that come before this board with both her knowledge and her great sense of compassion. She's often found some kind of a compromise so that petitioners can get their petition approved in a way that is agreeable to everyone. And so for that reason, I hope that the rest of the members of the board will join me in voting for Ms. Mary Young as vice chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Mary Young, sounds like a nice idea, Annette. Thank you. I'll second the motion.
Are there any other nominations for the position of vice chair? Hearing none, I'll accept a nomination to close nominations, accept a motion to close nominations.
Motion to
So
close, Mary.
moved.
My motion closed by Mary Young, second.
Second.
And that's Streets. Okay, since there is only one person nominated for the vice chair, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Mary. You're the vice chair. I think it's congratulations. Congratulations. All right, now I would entertain a motion to close this portion of our meeting and move on with the public portion.
Motion to close the administrative portion of the meeting.
By Mary Young, is there a second?
Second.
By Annette Streets. So all those in any opposition? There can't be any. All those in favor signify by saying, Mr. Forrester. Couldn't hear you, Gavin.
Aye.
No,
Point
I'm
of
still
order,
hear
Mr.
you.
Chairman. Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, point of order. Go ahead, Mr. Forrester.
Point of order.
You should have him call in, Letty.
Well, I'm really sorry for
We can hear you.
For the
We
delay
can
here.
hear on a significant delay. You are on a significant delay,
unmuted.
Commissioner Forster.
I don't have any secondary devices, and I have a point of order.
What is your point of order?
Commissioner Forster, can you use the chat box
Hear me.
with on a significant delay?
Mr. Chairman, if you can hear me, Mary Young. Mr.
Go ahead.
Forrester always has some good contributions to make. I'm happy to take a 10-minute
Oh,
recess if you
Can
think.
you hear me now?
Yes.
On the agenda is a nomination for secretary. You can't
We
just
don't
close
have-
the meeting with an open item on.
We don't have to do that, Mr. Forrester, if you remember from last time. Is that correct, Mr. Floor? Attorney Floor, you're on again. We don't, go ahead. Go ahead, Attorney Floor.
Yeah, what happened last time with the secretary? I don't remember anything happening last
And I'm
time.
attempting to locate the chat box.
I think
So-
we accidentally struck it from the agenda because we haven't had a secretary in a long time in any of the meetings.
That's correct. So I believe the board should vote to strike the remaining item from the agenda and close the public and close the organizational meeting. Thank you for bringing that up, Commissioner Forrester.
Mary Young, motion to strike the secretary item from the agenda and motion to close this portion of the meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Annette Street. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimously. Now I'll entertain a motion to move on to close this portion of the meeting and go on to the public portion.
Motion to move on, Mary Young.
Is there a second?
Second, Judy Clary.
All right. Now go to the public portion of the meeting. Okay, before I call the meeting to order, I want to remind everyone to raise their hand if they'd like to be recognized by the chair and wait to be recognized. Please identify yourself by name and title each time you'd like to speak. This is per Governor Lamont's executive order, which allows us to conduct virtual meetings. The public is free to listen, but may speak only at the invitation of the chair. With that said, I call to order this monthly session of the Zoning Board of Appeals at 7:22 p.m. And I would just like to mention, for those of you who came late, that the Oak Bluff Avenue petition is now going to be heard next month, not tonight. So if there's anyone hanging on to speak about the Oak Bluff petition will be tomorrow night, next month, which will probably be March 2nd, I believe, unless there's a change. But like Jay said, call tomorrow and you can get all the details from the zoning office. All right, first item on the agenda, Prospect Drive. Mr. Knott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jay, may I share my screen, please?
Sure, give me one moment.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Did anyone read the petition?
Oh, I'm sorry. Would you like to read it since you brought it up?
Sure, no problem. We're on Prospect, yes?
Yes.
1203 Prospect Avenue, a petition of Mark Swim seeking a waiver of section 3.14 from 75 feet to 35.6 feet to construct a pool and hot tub incidental to a single-family dwelling. Hardship: the pre-existing location of the house within the required 75 feet setback necessitates the location of a pool and other improvements in the same setback. And it's noted that a coastal site plan review has been submitted with the application.
So it's not on me.
Good evening. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, Madam Secretary. My name is Barry Knott. I'm a lawyer with the firm of Knott & Dunn with offices at 1656 Main Street, Stratford. I'm here this evening on behalf of Mark Swim of 1203 Prospect Drive, Stratford. Mark is the owner of Swim Pools Incorporated, which does business as Swim Pool and Patio on the Post Road in Darien. I'd like to make reference to the certificates of mailing, which I have already sent to Jay and which are already part of the record. This is an application for a variance of section 3.14 of the zoning regulations, which prohibits construction activity within 75 feet of a tidal wetland. I've also submitted a coastal area management application because the property is located within the coastal area. Please consider my comments and exhibits to be in support of both applications simultaneously. At this point, I'd like to reference Exhibit 1, which is a site plan of the property showing the proposed use, including the installation of a 12 by 24 swimming pool and a 6 by 6 hot tub, which are the subject of tonight's application. As you can see from Exhibit 1, the property contains 29,380 square feet. It is located in an RS2 half-acre zone, which requires a minimum lot square footage of 22,000 square feet. You will note in the upper left-hand corner of Exhibit 1 that the zoning standards show this property to be in an RS3 zone, which is Stratford's quarter-acre zone. This is incorrect. The property is located in the RS2 zone. And you will also notice in the lower right-hand corner of the plot plan, it shows the scale as being 1 inch equals 10 feet. This is also incorrect. The scale is 1 inch equals 20 feet, and I apologize for any confusion these errors may have caused you. Now, please note that I have highlighted on Exhibit 1 in blue the location of the proposed pool and hot tub. I've highlighted in yellow the 35.6 foot distance between the location of the hot tub and the top of the riprap style rocks located near the water, which I've highlighted in orange. As you can see from this area of the site plan, a substantial portion of my client's property lies between the top of the rocks and the water. In fact, the change of elevation between the top of the rocks and the water is approximately 9 feet, where the lot drops off from an elevation of approximately 9 feet to 0 feet at the water. Therefore, the existence of the riprap and the change in elevation on my client's property at the water renders a substantial portion of my client's property useless. I have also highlighted in green the 75-foot setback from tidal wetlands as set forth in section 3.14 of the zoning regulations. As you can see from the location of the 75-foot setback, a substantial portion of the house has already been constructed within the 75-foot setback, and would be impossible for the property owner to construct a pool on this property without a variance of section 3.14. Now, I want to reference Exhibit 2, which is an architectural rendering of the back of the house showing the patio, swimming pool, and hot tub. Of particular note here is, as I mentioned above, the fact that this proposed swimming pool is 12 feet by 24 feet in size. My client is in the swimming pool and patio installation business in Darien, and he advises me that the size of the typical swimming pool in this area is 18 by 36 or 20 by 40. As you can see, in deference to the 75-foot setback issue, my client is proposing a much smaller pool and hot tub than that which is typical. In fact, I would like to reference Exhibits 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, which are photographs of other pool and patio complexes which my client has installed locally. As you can see from these photographs, the swimming pools shown on these exhibits are much larger than the pool Mr. Swim is installing on his property. Exhibit 8 is an email from John Goucher from the Connecticut Department of Environmental Protection regarding the CAM application, indicating that he has no comments with respect to this application. As you know, when a CAM application is submitted, a copy of it must be submitted to John at the DEEP for his review and comment. This response from John is as good as it gets as far as a response from John Goucher on a CAM application is concerned. Usually you get 2, 3, 4 page single-space response in which he criticizes the application. Now, Exhibits 9 and 10 are letters in support of this application by the two neighbors immediately affected by it. Mr. Kai Irwin at 1182 Prospect Drive and Dr. and Mrs. Pasali of 1215 Prospect Drive. These are the two neighbors immediately next door to Mr. Swim. Exhibit 11 is a Google Earth aerial photograph of my client's property. As you can see from this photograph, the proximity of the top of the riprap to this house leaves very little room for the installation of the swimming pool and hot tub within the 75-foot setback. As you can also see from this photograph, the proposed location of the pool and hot tub is as far away from the water as possible. Most importantly, because of the location of the riprap between the proposed location of the pool and the water, there will be no concern about contamination to the waters of Long Island Sound as a result of erosion or runoff from the pool and hot tub installation. Now, Exhibits 12, 13, 14, and 15 are photographs of other houses on the water in the immediate area of the applicant's house on Prospect Drive. This is a couple of houses down from my client's property. This one is on Bayview Boulevard. This one is on Ocean Avenue, where the pools have been located within the 75-foot setback. I recognize that the board is not bound by the approval of other locations of a similar type, and that each application has to be decided on its own merits. However, I submit these photographs to you for informational purposes only, and believe that given the location of the riprap and the change in elevation of 9 feet between my client's yard and the water, there is adequate justification to approve this application. Now, I want to discuss Jay's administrative comments. In his administrative comments, Jay states that, quote, a variance would be needed to install a pool of any meaningful size. He's simply stating that which I have already pointed out to you, and that is that there's no location to the rear of my client's property where a pool could be installed that doesn't require a variance. However, he also suggests that the pool could be set back further along the rear of the house while retaining its water views. Obviously, the pool could be moved to the right side of the deck area as you face the house from the water. However, that location would not mitigate the need for a variance and would be adjacent to the bedrooms in the house and would be inappropriate for that reason. The location of the pool as presented is adjacent to the kitchen and family room and is perfectly functional for that reason. It would make no sense to move it to the other side of the patio. Jay also indicates that a hardship does not exist with respect to this application. I do not agree with his conclusion in that regard. The location of the riprap and the change in elevation of 9 feet between the yard and the water prohibits the use of all of my client's property. The fact that a variance would be needed for the installation of any pool of any size on this property, the irregular shape of my client's property, and the unusual layout of the riprap as it abuts his property is different from all other properties in this area. Each waterfront property here and the location of riprap is unique. In his comments, Jay paraphrases Connecticut law and states that a variance is warranted for a property, quote, having unusual conditions not generally encountered within the zoning district that would make development in full, according to the regulations, extremely difficult. Clearly, such is the case here, so that there exists a legitimate hardship with respect to this application, and it should be approved. And I will be prepared to answer questions you may have. My client is in attendance at this hearing, and that concludes my application.
Thank you, Attorney Knott. Questions from the commissioners? Ms. Young.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mary Young for the record. Attorney Knott, I have a question for your client, and then I have a couple of questions for you. Mr. Swim, can I inquire how long have you owned this property?
I purchased this property in October.
Thank you and congratulations. If I understood your attorney's presentation, you are in the pool business, and it would appear that perhaps you were unaware of the restrictions, or you might have picked a different property if you were going to put in a swimming pool accustomed to what you build for your clients. Do you care to comment or not particularly?
I mean, honestly, I had no idea there was a 75-foot. None of the other towns I've ever worked in have a setback like that on the water. So I was surprised when I found out, and it was after the fact.
Yeah, Mary, Mark did indicate to me that along Fairfield County, along the waterfront in Fairfield County, Stratford, he believes that Stratford's the only town that has an actual prohibition of any construction activity within 75 feet of tidal wetlands. I don't know where the zoning regulation came from. I have the history of the Stratford zoning regulations in my possession going back to 1965. I've studied them. The prohibition of any construction activity within proximity to tidal wetlands did not exist in section 3.14 until 1988. And it was in 1988. So from 65 to 88, there was no prohibition of any construction within any distance from tidal wetlands. In 88, the state of Connecticut passed the Inland Wetlands law, allowing municipalities to have their own inland wetlands commission. And in Stratford, they did create a commission in 1988. It was at that time that section 3.14 was modified from the version that existed from 65 to 88 to the current version. Now, I don't know why they added tidal wetlands with a deeper setback requirement in 1988 when none existed prior to that. The setback from inland wetlands in the new regulation is 50 feet. The setback from tidal wetlands is 75 feet. Now, why they made the two setbacks different, I don't know. And the problem is that Stratford's zoning regulation is actually a prohibition against any construction activity. Whereas under the inland wetlands regulations and the DEP regulations as they relate to tidal wetlands, there is no prohibition against construction activity. In some cases, they regulate construction in proximity to wetland areas. In other words, you have to come in and show mitigation. You have to show protection of the wetlands in the course of your construction activity. So why Stratford actually put a prohibition in is beyond me. I don't think it's right, and is something that we should be discussing with the zoning commission going forward. But as far as I know, Stratford's the only town that has this regulation.
Can I make one other quick point to your question? The next door neighbor's house, the Pasal's house, maybe Barry can show you the aerial Google photo, is, I don't know, 25 feet from the water at best. So putting the pool on that side puts it right on top of their house, as well as when I was looking to buy the property, seeing that the other houses were so close to the water, I just assumed, it was probably silly of me, but just assumed that houses that are brand new would comply to the 75 foot. That house is not very old. I don't know exactly how old it is, but I would say in the last 10 or 15 years. So I just assumed with it being 25 feet from the water, that the regulations would be the same, because obviously they had a variance to build that, I'm guessing.
Mark is talking about this area of concrete here between the house next door and the riprap.
So Mary Young, for the record, thank you, Mr. Swim, for answering my question, and thank you, Attorney Knott, for the history lesson I don't recall asking for, but I'm sure we all benefited from it. You recall I did have a couple of questions for you, Attorney Knott. You showed us, I believe it was exhibits 9 and 10, which were letters from the abutting neighbors offering no objections to the application. The font is small, but I perceive one of them has a February 2021 date on it. Is that correct?
But, yeah, the number 9 is February 1st, 2021. And it says, I am willing to express my support of Mark Swim's pool project at 1203 Prospect Drive, Stratford. I have no objection at all. Signed, Kai Irwin. And the other one looks like it's undated. And I can read that one for you if you'd like.
Well, do you recall when you received it? Forgive me for interrupting.
Yeah, well, we received it yesterday, I believe. Isn't that correct, Mike? Mark?
Yeah, I received it yesterday afternoon.
So I just wanted to point out that that resonates for this member of the board to hear directly from those property owners most impacted that they are offering no objection. So I wanted to thank you for getting those two pieces of information onto the record. Attorney Knott, you also mentioned in your comments, I interpret it as your disdain for John Goucher at DEEP, who is a personal friend of mine, who you suggested only writes negative comments on coastal site plan referrals. I'm sure you want to take that back, as perhaps on isolated incidents you've received some negative comments, but he is a genuinely good guy and is charged with protecting the environment. So if we could keep comments of judgment from people who are not present at the meeting, I think that would be appropriate.
Well, I think you misunderstood the nature of my comment, Mary. I wasn't reflecting disdain. I have a very good relationship with John. All I'm saying is that with respect to other CAM applications that I have been involved in, you usually get a much more lengthy and issue related letter from him than this particular letter. That's what I meant to say.
I appreciate your clarification, and my apologies if I incorrectly summarized your point of view. Last question, then I'll defer to others. If this application is approved, did I hear you say, or could you say now, that you will accept it with two conditions? Those two conditions being that prior to any issuance of permits for the swimming pool, the map will be revised to amend the underlying zoning district designation and amend the scale so that it accurately describes what it should?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Anyone else? Any other commissioners have any questions?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Lorenzo.
Okay, I just wanted to know if you can hear me. No questions.
By hearing none, can we close the petition on Prospect Drive?
Mr. Chairman, this
Yes.
is Jay Habansky. Since we were getting significant feedback from some of the callers, I just want to make sure that none of our other commissioners have called in. So I'm going to mute all those callers where I don't know who everyone is in case maybe Gavin called in or someone else, okay?
Yep. Also, is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor of this petition? Anyone wish to speak in favor of the petition? Anyone in opposition to this petition? Anyone wish to speak in opposition to this petition? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the Prospect Drive petition.
Mary Young, motion to close.
Motion by Mary Young. Is there a second? Just raise your hand. Second by Lorenzo. All those, any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 All right, petition is closed. Oak Bluff Avenue is on the agenda, so I believe we need to table it. You have to do something with it. It's on the agenda. This tabling, right, Attorney Knott, would be appropriate? Okay, that's a thumbs up, means yes?
It has not been taken off the table.
What's that?
That is correct.
The item has not been taken off the table, so we would be deferring this application to the March meeting.
But I think we have to act on it. Isn't that right, Attorney Fleur?
Yes.
I suppose you could formally table it till next month. Either way.
Either, so we can just skip by it? I mean, it's on the agenda. Wouldn't it be safer just to table it?
I assume that the applicant or his attorney has communicated in writing to Jay that they would not be going forward this month and would be going forward next month. So
Skip it
Yes,
over?
we have documentation of the letter of request from the applicant's representative.
Okay. All right, Housatonic Avenue. Ms. Young, would you like to read that, please?
Thank you, Mary Young, for the record. 110 Housatonic Avenue, petition for Brian Yarmush, forgive me if that's a mispronunciation, seeking waivers of section 3.14 from 75 feet to 71 feet, and the minimum side yard from 10 feet to 3.5 feet to construct a one-story rear addition and deck incidental to a single-family dwelling. Hardship, pre-existing non-conforming structure. Asterisk, a coastal site plan review has been submitted with this application. Mr. Chairman?
Thank you. Is the petitioners present? Mr. Yarmish?
Yes,
Okay,
Brian.
go ahead.
Hi, my name is Brian Yarmish. I'm owner of 110 Housatonic Ave in Stratford. My property is located in RS4. I have submitted a variance application and a CAM application to build a 8x10 one-story addition that is in a setback of 10 feet from the property line, and it's only going to be a 3.5 foot, which is the existing current setback of the property that was built in the, I believe, the 70s. And I also am trying to expand the deck to match the same 3.5 foot setback, and it's going to be an 8x16 foot expansion on the deck, which also happens to only be 71 feet from the high water line, and apparently I got to be 75 feet to not apply for a CAM application. I didn't really have all the bells and whistles like Barry had, but I submitted everything, and Jay has been in contact with me and said I have submitted everything that I needed to submit. I appreciate you guys looking into my variance application and hope that everything is appropriate as submitted. Do I need anything to submit anything else?
Questions? Ms. Young?
Thank you, Mary Young, for the record. Mr. Yarmish, 2 questions. You've mentioned you don't have all the bells and whistles of Attorney Knott. That's okay. But if you were listening to that last presentation, you heard that I, speaking for myself, was persuaded by the fact that he had obtained letters of support from the abutting property owners. Can you educate this group and share with us if you've had any communication, and if so, what kind, with your abutting property owners, your neighbors?
I've had communication with the property owner directly abutting where the addition would be built on the 3.5 foot setback, and he has no problems with it. I don't have anything written. I did have, I sent to Jay the confirmation of the mailing for all the 5 property owners. I didn't know if I needed all the people across the street, but I did 5 properties that kind of abut my property. And nobody has came to me and said that they are against it. They were all presented the meeting time and date, and I don't think anyone's on the call. So I don't have anything in writing. I didn't realize that. I mean, I didn't know I needed writing. I thought they were supposed to come on the meeting if they had issues.
Thank you. I think you telling us what you learned is getting that information onto the record. So I congratulate you, like Attorney Knott, that you went that extra step to reach out to the abutting property owner to get their feedback, and I thank you for that. My only other question is, for the record, could you once again please state the hardship, the justification for the granting of this variance? Thank you.
What do you mean by hardship? That it's only 3.5 feet from the addition will be 3.5 feet from the property line in a variant where it's a 10-foot setback? Is that?
What I mean by hardship, if you read through Jay Hibansky's comments, he helps us and you try to understand the question before the board this evening. The question being, what is unique about the property that would give a rationale for this board to grant you the relief you are seeking from the zoning regulations? Mr. Hibansky may want to expand upon that response.
Yeah, Jay Hibansky here. So, you know, the applicant had kind of a long, they filled out the hardship question on the application, and I did my best to summarize and paraphrase the applicant's hardship, and I'll just cite it for the record as I see it for the applicant. The applicant cited the hardship as being a pre-existing non-conforming structure. You know, I see the lot as being undersized. It's quite a narrow lot. The minimum lot size requirement is 60 feet wide. The applicant has 50 feet. The sought variances, I believe, are directly related to the side setbacks. If they have that extra 10 feet, there's a possibility that they would be able to do a bit more with their parcel. So I felt that the hardship was the fact that it was an undersized lot with only 50 feet in width. And I'll just communicate to the board. You know, I emailed all the staff comments out to all the applicants, and you know, and we send out our notification letters where everyone can access those my staff comments online. Thank you.
I have no other questions. Thank you so much.
Any other of the commissioners have any questions, Mr. Yarmish?
No, I don't have any questions for you, but I appreciate you hearing me. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor of this petition? Anyone wish to speak in favor? I'm not sure what that is. Does anyone wish to speak in opposition to this petition? Anyone wish to speak in opposition? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the petition.
Mary Young, motion to close.
Motion by Ms. Young. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Elder. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Petition is closed. I'll read the last one since people are having trouble with their phones. 244 Spruce Street, petition of Clinton David DeGroat seeking waivers of the minimum front setback from 20 feet to 13 and 14.8 feet, maximum building coverage of 25% to 25.83% to construct a covered front porch incidental to a single-family dwelling. The hardship is the front yard setback, which extends to the existing house foundation, and max building coverage restricts any reasonable improvement. And who's here to present this petition?
This is Clinton DeGroat.
Okay, you're on.
Hi, good evening. Thank you all very much for your time this evening. As Jay just mentioned, looking for a variance to add a 6-foot deep covered porch on our home at 244 Spruce Street. By the way, we just moved to this neighborhood in July. What a great neighborhood. Our house as constructed is very close to the front setback. We have a front stoop that's approximately 6 feet from the structure now, and we're looking to use basically the same distance that that stoop occupied in front of the home for the construction of the new covered front porch. I believe all paperwork has been provided prior to the meeting through Pato Architects, which has drawn up the plans and also supplied the surveys. We did have some issues receiving the paperwork from the town in reference to sending out the certified mail notifications to our neighbors. It apparently was lost for, I believe, 13 days. I have supplied to Jay sent the receipts of the letters and also the confirmation of delivery to the 5 adjoining property owners, both the 2 properties behind ours on either side and directly across the street. So we're hoping that in light of the information that the paperwork provided will be acceptable for this evening's meeting, and see if we can get a favorable reply to add the covered front porch.
Thank you. Commissioners, questions? Once again, any questions from the commissioners? Hearing none, I'll ask, is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor of this petition? Anyone speaking in favor of the petition? Anyone wishes in opposition to this petition? Anyone in Judy Clary? Judy, you have your hand up?
Yes, this is Judy Clary. I'm very familiar with the property. Even though the other side of Lorchip Manor, Lighthouse Road, there's very close to the street. The porches are very close to the street. In this section of Spruce Street, that would really be the only house that's that far out front. I would be surprised if neighbors didn't object, but that's about it.
And I did speak to our immediate neighbors on our north and south sides regarding the project. There was no concerns, I would expect, especially from our north property owner, as looking south towards the water. In conversation with Marie Sherman, she did not have any concerns with the property. Most of the newer homes on our street, or renovated homes, all have front porches on them. Just think we'd really like to add the porch as it lends a more neighborhood community to the street and is in line with some of the recently renovated and up-to-date homes.
Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
Mary Young, for the record.
Go ahead, ma'am.
I see the architect, Dan Pato, is on this call. I wonder if he wants to screen share and respond to the suggestion that this would be unique to the neighborhood. It's the positions jutting out from the house.
Mary, who said that the architect is here?
Looking at my screen, it appears Dan Pato is in the meeting.
Okay, yep. Dan, would you like to speak? Mr. Prater, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here. I'm just trying to get on this on the screen.
Okay, well, you're on.
Okay. Yeah, our camera's not working for some reason. But you can hear me, right?
We can hear you, Dan.
Loud and clear.
Right. Yeah, so just one thing I do want to say is that the front yard setback basically goes up to the current foundation of the home. And there is a 6-foot stoop on the house already. So all we're looking to do really is replace the existing stoop with a covered front porch. And a lot of the neighbors, most of the adjoining neighbors do have the front porch on their homes as well. So we're not doing anything that is not within keeping of the existing homes on the street.
Thank you. We have any questions?
Mary Young, motion to close.
Okay, just,
Mr. Chairman, this is Jay Habansky. We do have two more callers that are on the call with us. One of them, caller 9, I've had to keep on mute because of just the feedback. It won't stop. Please mute yourself unless you're talking. Did any of the other callers want to speak in favor or in opposition?
yeah, caller 3 or caller 9, do you wish to speak on this petition?
I'm only going to mute 9 once caller 3 is either spoken or not. Chairman, I'm going to unmute caller 9 now.
Okay, that's fine. Caller 9, do you wish to speak? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain Ms. Young's motion to close this petition. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Mr. Elder. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's closed. I just want to clarify something that, I mean, you know that Judy Clary is an alternate on this, but she's not part of this petition going to be participating or voting on it. So I just wanted to clarify that since she is an alternate. All right, entertain a motion to close the public portion.
I make a motion, we close, Commissioner Elder, I make a motion, we close this portion of the
Motion
meeting.
by Mr. Elder, is there a second?
Mary Young, I second.
Second by Mary Young. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Closed. Okay, now I will open up, I go through my papers, the administrative session at 8:01 p.m. and the first item would be Prospect Drive. So we got to open Prospect Drive, entertain a motion to open Prospect Drive.
I make a motion to open Prospect Drive.
Mr. Elder makes a motion. Is there a second?
Mary Young, I second.
Second. Any opposed? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, discussion on Prospect Drive. Or what is your pleasure, one or the other?
Mary Young, I'd like to make a motion to approve the hardship being as offered by the applicant, the pre-existing location of the house with the conditions as agreed to by Attorney Knott, that prior to any permits being granted for the swimming pool, that the site plan be modified to show the correct underlying zoning district designation and the correct scale on the plan. I hope someone will second my motion. Thank you.
I second. Commissioner
Second by
Elder.
Mr. Elder. Discussion on the motion to approve. I'll do a roll call. A yes means you're approving the petition. Ms. Young.
Yes.
Mr. Elder.
Yes.
Ms. Streets.
Yes.
Mr. Forrester.
Yes.
Put thumbs up and down, Gavin. I can't hear you. Okay, and the chair votes yes. Motion, the petition is approved.
Thank you very much, folks.
All right, next on the agenda would be Housatonic
Thank you,
Avenue.
everyone.
Motion to take it off the table, to open it.
Mary Young, motion to take it off the table and open it for discussion and decision.
Is there a second?
I second. Commissioner
Second by-
Elder.
Discussion on Housatonic Avenue.
Mary Young, I'd like to make a motion to approve with the hardship being as offered by our planning and zoning director, the undersized narrow lot. And I hope someone will second my motion.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Streets, a second.
Streets. Thank you. Any discussion on the motion to approve? Hearing none, once again, a yes is a motion to approve. Ms. Young.
Yes.
Mr. Elder.
Yes.
Ms. Streets.
Yes.
Mr. Forrester. And the chair votes yes. Petition is approved. Okay, finally, on the agenda will be the 2 Street. Entertain a motion to discuss it.
Mary Young, motion to take it off the table and discuss it.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Elder, seconds.
Second by Commissioner Elder. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, discussion on Spruce Street. Or a motion.
I'm Commissioner Elder here. I make a motion,
Yep.
we accept the hardship that was put before us for the Spruce Street project. And I hope somebody will second.
Is there a second to Mr. Elder's motion? Hearing none, I'll second it for purposes of discussion. Discussion on a motion. Hearing none. We'll do a roll call vote with the yes meaning approval. Ms. Young,
Yes.
Mr. Elder,
Yes,
Ms. Streets,
Yes.
Mr. Forrester. Chair votes yes, petition is approved. All right. All right, moving on to the campsite plan review, Jay.
We have to do the approval of minutes.
Thank you, Gail.
We passed that, thank you. Motion to approve the minutes from December 1st
Mary Young, motion to approve.
by Mary Young. Is there a second?
Commissioner Elder, seconds.
Okay. Any discussion on the minutes from December 1st? Hearing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Carried unanimously. Campsite plan review, Mr. Hibansky.
Okay, thank you very much. Just give me one moment while I get my files together. I was finishing taking a few notes here. Okay. Okay, so the applicant has submitted a coastal site plan review in conjunction with their application for a site plan review and variance per the Connecticut Coastal Management Act. The subject lot resides in an area defined as shorelands, which are upland areas at elevations in excess of the 100-year still water flood level, and located within the coastal boundary, according to the Town of Stratford's Coastal Resources map. It does not appear as though any of the proposed work will have any negative impacts to the present or abutting coastal resources. As Mr. Knott stated, on January 7, 2021, the Office of Planning and Zoning received an email from DEEP stating that they had no comments for the Zoning Board of Appeals consideration. This application was also referred to the Waterfront Harbor Management Commission for review, and we have not received any comments on this application to this date. I recommend that this application be considered for an approval.
Mary Young, I'd like to make a motion to approve the coastal site plan for 1203 Prospect Drive.
Approval by Ms. Chen. Is there a second? Second, Mr. Elder.
Street, I second.
Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion, that's approved. Oak Bluff, we can just skip over till next month, right, Jay?
That's correct. The application has been continued to the March meeting.
Okay, Housatonic Avenue, Jay.
Okay, similar to 1203 Prospect Drive, this application per the Connecticut Coastal Management Act has required a coastal site plan review in addition to the variance. Similarly, these are shorelands. I won't, since I read it for the last application, I'll spare you on this one. It does not appear as though any of the proposed work is going to have any negative impacts to the present or abutting coastal resources. We received no feedback. We did receive an email from the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection stating that they had no comments for the Zoning Board of Appeals consideration, and we have not received any feedback from the Waterfront Harbor Management Commission upon our referral to them. I'm also recommending that the board consider this for approval.
Mary Young, I'd like to make a motion to approve the coastal site plan application for 110 Houstonic Avenue.
Motion by Ms. Young. I'll second it. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. 4, members' concerns and comments. Ms. Young.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think my concern may be directed to our planning and zoning administrator. I was concerned when I saw Dave DeCilio on our agenda for the application that we did not hear tonight. I mention that because on the Town of Stratford website, it still lingers, excuse me, it still lingers that he is an alternate on this board. Those of us in the know are aware his term expired, but I think we all like Dave very much, and we don't want it to be perceived that somehow he's double dipping, he's on the board and he's presenting in front of the board. Perhaps whomever is responsible for the Town of Stratford website could update that information, so by the time Mr. DeCilio returns, there's no funny business where people might perceive inaccurately that he's has a dual role, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and his
It does.
resignation
I'll be
was
sure to.
accepted by the town council. So he's officially off because they accepted his resignation in January.
And this is Jay Habansky. I'll be sure to follow up with our computer services and ask them to remove him from the Zoning Board of Appeals webpage.
That was a good point, Ms. Young.
Commissioner Elder, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Elder.
Yes. Once again, sort of being new at this, I'm just in hearing the past discussion. If I wanted to do some renovating to my house, would I have to resign from the board?
No, you could actually just not sit in on your petition.
Okay.
I mean, my feeling is, you know, if you resign from the board, people are still going to say, well, sure, well, he was on the board. So I don't really think that does anything for you.
Okay.
I think just not sitting on a petition would work. Because people are still going to say, well, he was on the board for 300 years, so what did he resign? So I would just sit out the petition.
I better shave. Thank you.
Well, you know, people are going to comment, and they're going to comment that he's been on the board, even though he's not officially a member anymore. They're going to say he's been on the board. So it is what it is. Hopefully, it's not going to be that big of a. I mean, he's not building a hotel, so.
Right. Okay.
Anyone else under item 4, concerns or comments? Okay, move on to other items, which I'm not sure what that is, but anybody have other items?
Mr. Chairman, this is
Entertain a
Jay.
motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to offer out to the commission that if anyone wants to try to troubleshoot any of their technical difficulties, you know, I've been setting up kind of side sessions on these go-to meetings to help people kind of figure out if we can pinpoint any errors or microphone issues or anything like that. So if you want to do that, please reach out to me and I'd be happy to schedule some practice meetings.
Thank you.
I'm going to take a lips class for Gavin.
Mary Young, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Ms. Singh, is there a second?
Commissioner Elder, seconds.
Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. We'll adjourn until March 2nd. Thank you.
Stay
Enjoy
safe.
your evening. Enjoy the snowstorm on Super Bowl Sunday. You can all shovel again. Good night.
Good night.